Chugga, 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 chugga.
It's bad times over here in the big family houses.
Yes, yes.
Where are all your people too? It's so quiet there.
So we were out of the autism staples, chicken nuggets and strawberries and Capri Sun. So Jamie had to run to the store. We went to up indoor park tonight. And
what is this? What is an indoor park? What?
So I don't know if this is like a cold weather thing, but imagine so it's a soccer field, a basketball court, a trampoline, and equipment all inside, like in just a giant warehouse. Oh. Yeah. And your kids can just run wild. And I often avoid places like that because Cooper is a big 12-year-old now and he likes little kid stuff. But we had strength in numbers. We had a bunch of special needs families go. Perfect. So there was Ben and Liz and they're Cooper's age and they were all just doing their own thing. So it was great.
And not too overstimulating.
Nope. But I'll tell you, I thought this was kind of weird. So we were supposed to go to a jump park tonight. There was this local jump park that has a special needs 2-hour window on Monday nights. And they were bought by new owners, Sky Zone, which is kind of, I think that's well known.
I've been to Sky Zone.
They decided not to end the special needs thing, the sensory friendly. It's like, we will pay. Like, well, we're not asking for free stuff. We're just asking for time.
Is it because they don't get enough people there? What?
Well, maybe it's staffing. I don't know what it is, but it's just so hard because
you should reach out to them and be like, let's get this fixed. If I live somewhere with access, where I live, we call the indoor playground Roses.
Okay.
That's like the budget version of Target. Like it's a shopping store.
It's called Roses?
Roses is like Target from 1982.
I've never heard of it. Oh.
Roses, it's a myriad of fun. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. There could be blow up Santas, there could be TVs, there could be like.
Is it like a fleet farm? Like we have a fleet farm?
It's kind of like an Ollie's or a Big Lots.
Big Lots. Okay, that I know.
But it's one place that you can go and run around, right?
Got it.
For something to do. The same reason we go to the grocery store like twice a week. There's just, if it's cold, I mean, we go outside, but if it's cold and rainy, you're very limited. Kmart, yes, but Kmart is gone now. Sorry.
Do you guys have Shopko's? Shopko's almost gone too.
No, we don't have that.
Shopko is like, okay, so I would say like in the class, like it goes like Kmart, Shopko, Walmart, Target. Kind of like.
Now, where is the Big Lots? Where do we put Big Lots in that?
Well, but does Big Lots? I've never really been in a Big Lots.
I like Big Lots. I like Ollie's the best. Ollie's is where they have amazing books.
Oh, okay, fun.
I mean, Lego books, just all sorts of. It's booky.
Okay.
So tonight, people are going to be annoyed at me. I know it's going to happen. Tell them
not me. I'm not annoyed. I'm happy to be here.
She's excited because now she has this big audience. So this was supposed to be a subscriber book club. And Kate will vouch for me that there is no way I can do subscriber videos with other people unless they are sitting with me. Is this right?
Yes, I would have to fly there with you.
This will be hard. She's in Minnesota.
Can I show you something that I think is really funny? So any book you search for in Amazon right now, the recommended book is going to be Spare by a little gentleman called Prince Harry,
not
Harry. But we are both editors' picks. Oh, you can't see. Oh, there we go.
Oh, I can. You and Prince Henry.
Yes. So I was an editor's pick when my book first came out, which is a big, which is a big deal for an little autism book from Minnesota. So me and Prince Henry are just jiving together.
I think you need to put that up and be like, Prince Henry and I are going to be on next Monday night on my subscriber page. I'd love to have you
join us. Oh my gosh. Yes. So I'm an editor's pick for best nonfiction. If every one of you, how many people are watching this? If every one of you bought my book, we could kick little old Prince Henry's butt. Jamie said to me today, Jamie's like, who even read that book? A bunch of middle-aged white women. That's what he said. And I was like,
they were all on my cruise. I mean, they were buying that sucker in the airport like it was Hershey Kisses.
Is it good? I haven't read it.
I hadn't read it. I was too busy reading the better book.
The one on top.
Yes. Forever.
Okay, I'm going to go find you.
So Kate Swenson is my good friend. I would think most of y'all would know her by now. And she lives in Minnesota. And we do Wednesday night videos. She and I and another good friend, Carrie Cariello. And we all have children on the spectrum, different ages, which makes us kind of interesting. And children with different abilities too, which is just kind of neat. And Kate wrote this book that she sent me a copy of. Look at mine, says uncorrected proof, not for sale.
Yes, there are typos in that one. That's like right before it's real.
I didn't notice. I took notes. I mean, I have pencil outlines in here. But anyway, she she's much younger than I am, but she's kind of my mentor. So it's really nice. So just
I don't feel young. When I walk down the stairs in the morning, my knees make funny noises. So that's where I am at in life.
Well, it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
So you've written Forever Boy. And now that I've just started trying to write my book, which is not going well, by the way, I've written one day for 2 hours.
I have to send you my proposal. Note to self.
Email me the proposal. And
Adrian's going to copy my proposal and just change the title and the name. I won't judge.
She did give me permission. So tonight on my subscriber page, we're doing a book club. And the interesting thing about the Debutantes Book Club is that we'll only read books where the authors will come on and speak to us.
Oh, I have some suggestions for you then too. Okay.
Oh, good. You just finished it tonight, said Amy. So this is going to be kind of fun. And Kate, now that we've got a big audience, introduce yourself just in case we have people that don't know you.
Okay. So I am Kate. I have a page called Finding Cooper's Voice, and I started blogging on an old WordPress site when my son was 2 years old. And I remember I made the page from my couch.
Now, right?
12.
12.
So, yep, we didn't know autism yet, but we knew we were holding on to words like speech delay, like tight,
Me too.
And I started writing, and I picked the name Finding Cooper's Voice. I remember thinking I was so witty. I was like, oh, because we're going to find that voice. I was like so proud of myself. Right. And I wrote a lot about my husband, and I wrote a lot about the hard parts of our marriage and trying to figure out this little boy who was, trying to get him to fit around into a square. We just didn't blend in. Right. And wrote for a lot of years, never expected anything to come from it. And then went through the autism diagnosis, spoiler alert, went through a divorce and ended up getting remarried to my husband, which is a really favorite part of my book for a lot of people. And started a Facebook page and did videos. So I used to follow a Real Housewife, I think of New Jersey. She has a page called Coffee Talk. What is her name? Someone will comment it. And she did a video like every day where she just like grabbed a cup of coffee and she talked into her computer, her phone, and she talked about narcissism and relationships. And I would listen and just develop this like love for her and her honesty. And I was like, I'm going to talk about autism. Like, that's what I'm going to do,
Right.
I'm sad about this and I'm scared about this. And nope, it's not Jacqueline Larita. It's someone else. I can't think of her name. I will find it though. And Jamie Primick Sullivan. Thank you, Donna. I loved her.
I remember her.
Yes. And I never thought, what was that?
Where is she now?
I think she still does the same thing.
Okay.
But I never expected, and I think Adrian, maybe you can relate to this, but like when you start a Facebook page, like you kind of feel like you're screaming into the abyss. Like, is anyone going to listen to what I'm saying? And I had a bunch
of friends at first.
Yes.
And like how my friends never comment or like things. But in the beginning, it was like this.
Yes.
People in my community that were like, this is great. Like, we're going to support her.
Same, exactly. And I remember when I can still vividly remember having 1,000 followers and like knowing their names and like their kids' names. Like it was like a nice
Oh, I was
community.
keeping a list for a while.
Yes. Well, and that's why Adrian and I both started our supporter pages, is our subscriber groups, is so we could get back to that small group of like knowing these people and like they become part of your life.
Right. Right.
And then I had a bunch of stuff go viral. So I had a Jimmy Fallon story. I had a video of me crying in my car, which is still following me
around. That was the first one.
I had a thing at a special needs park where Cooper was yelled at. I'm trying to think. Just a bunch of things like that. And I grew really fast. And growing really fast can be scary and wonderful and great and sad and all these different things. Flash forward, wrote a book. And what I love about it, and I think Adrian's going to love about writing a book too, is you can tell your story from a beginning to an end. When you share on Facebook, people just drive by and get like little snippets of your story of Amos, like one thing, here and there. But like, this is our whole story. And like, I could control the narrative. So super proud of it. It's doing really well. It's been good.
So here's a really good comment here. Lillian said, I grew up in Minnesota, read her book, got it from the library. It was very enlightening for me as I really knew nothing about autism. I was watching your vlog when Kate was on earlier a few months ago. She was talking about it. It was mind-blowing. I don't know how she came through everything she went through. They lived in two harbors.
Yes, we did.
And, I think you and I both would say that that's part of why the reason we like this. So we have a friend who is shopping her book idea around, and it's hard. Like, not everybody wants to read a book on autism, but I think if they start reading it, they'll really like it. So I hope that Kate and I and our friend Carrie really do push this book so that it's not like you have to be a special needs mom to read this book.
So when I signed my book deal, it was a big deal, and it will be the same for Carrie or whoever, our friend. The publisher was like, you need people outside the autism world to read this, because the autism world is this big. I know it feels big to us, but it's small. You need to relate to teachers and therapists and just people. And the most wonderful thing I've been told is that anyone can pick up my book and read it. It's not a story just about autism. It's more about motherhood. And see, I had expectations that my son would talk and that he would grow up and live independently. And I thought our life would be, perfect. And when that changes, it's kind of shocking, and you have to work through it.
Right. Well, and you said in chapter 3, Kate says, motherhood is like an exclusive club. And if a positive pregnancy test or dried ink on adoption papers secures your membership, then it is experiences that we encounter as our children grow and develop that keep our membership valid. Never was there a club I wanted to be in more, and I made sure that everyone knew it. I mean, that was me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you know that I had a woman come up to me and I didn't know, sob and recite those few sentences to me, and said she was a mom who adopted kids and she never really felt like a mother, like she was ever included, until she read that.
Oh, well,
oh my gosh.
I did notice that. And I thought, boy, that's inclusive language. And that's really nice, because I think,
well, and I think it's because I have so many friends, even some that I hung out with tonight at the park, that adopted these babies not knowing that they were special needs, and not that would have mattered anyways. But, talk about you can feel excluded as a special needs parent. You just do. That's, I think, normal. You feel kind of adjacent sometimes. And then to be an adoptive mom too, that has to be doubly hard.
Well, because then I think you'd have people looking around like, well, they shouldn't have adopted. Just like people have said to me, well, I don't know why you didn't get genetic testing. I mean, it's like, what? People get some funny things in their brains. And having lost a brother to cancer at 19, I think I learned real quickly, well, you can think you're going to have this healthy baby, right? Mm-hmm. There's no like magic pill that means your life is going to be the way it is right now forever, so that, anyway. When
I first started sharing about autism, I always say that sometimes, and I don't want to offend anyone with this statement, but sometimes the harshest commenters can be like a 40-year-old white man. I don't know why it is. It's like I always joke they live in their mom's basement. Like I can kind of like tell by Charlie or George that they're going to really let me have it. And I was told numerous times in the beginning, like, well, you should have known that this could happen. And I can say with certainty that with my first pregnancy, I took my prenatals, I went to the doctor, I did everything. I really didn't know that my son could have autism. It never honestly crossed my mind. Once I went to that 12-week scan and that 20-week scan, I was like, we're good.
Yeah, I was always, I hate to admit it because it doesn't sound good, but it's the truth. I never wanted to have any genetic testing because I didn't want to put myself in a position to feel like I had a choice about my pregnancy. Mm-hmm. So it was like, I didn't trust myself enough. If somebody had said, you have a baby that's going to have a disability, you can choose to not have that baby. I just I didn't trust myself. And I hope from your story or my story that people will see our lives and say, yeah, it looks kind of hard, but it's a good life. You know, I think I just associated disabilities equals bad and you don't want this. And it's hard not to when there's genetic testing and prenatal counseling and, oh, you don't have to have this baby. Well, I mean, that automatically says to somebody, they're not worthwhile, you know?
Yeah. So I have one of my favorite parts of the book, and not a lot of people ever bring it up. I think it's an intro to a chapter where I talk about my friend Charlene. I'm not sure. She went to her, she had a scan late in her pregnancy, and they told her that the baby was either going to die, not come to term, or he would have Down syndrome. And in this, she told me this story when I first met her, and it made it to my book. And she talked about how they prayed for Down syndrome. They prayed. Oh,
yes, we missed that.
It's so powerful. It's the most, and I know her and her son, Alex, this boy, still to this day. They came to my Sensory Santa event in December, and her son, Alex, is a teenager, and he led Santa around by the hand for 20 minutes and asked him for a pony with his speech device. And afterwards, Santa cried to me, and he said it was the most powerful moment of his life. Now, imagine if Alex wasn't here. I mean, love it.
Right. It was chapter 2. It was chapter 2.
And that's a real story, you know, because I was saying, when I met her, I was new in this autism diagnosis, and I was like, I just feel so blindsided and I feel so lost. And she's like, well, we prayed for Down syndrome. She said that to me. And I was like, what? And the story just changed my life.
Yeah, there are some incredible people out there, and I am not one of them, but I aspire to be them. Now, this was a hard part, I think. And I get this question a lot, not as much lately, but you were told, by a social worker, your son has one of the most severe cases of autism I have ever seen. Mm-hmm. What was that like?
So, and a lot of parents are going to nod when I say this. So we're always told just to ask for help, right? Just ask for help. You just admit that you need help and the help will come. Well, we had reached this point with Cooper where we couldn't leave the house. We couldn't ride in the car. He was breaking light bulbs. He was running into the streets. He was stripping beds, aggression, self-injuring, and he couldn't communicate. It wasn't his fault. He couldn't communicate. He was locked inside. And my husband and I worked 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, whatever. We had another son. So we heard about this program where you could call and an emergency social worker will come to your house. So when I say that to you, I'm sure you think like they're going to come and like look through your house and give you ideas and plans. And right. He came and like it's a really powerful chapter. We walked through the house. Like I felt so judged. I mean, I felt so judged. And his advice was, he's like, your son has the most severe case of autism I've ever seen, and you won't be able to do this forever. So start figuring out a plan. And I remember that was a turning point for me because I wanted to be like, get out. You know, I finally like bared my vulnerability and said, I can't do this. And he just threw it in my face. And it was a big turning point for me because it was like, no, this is not going to defeat me or Cooper or us.
Yeah. I could see that. I remember when they did the first test for Amos, and it was like some number scale, and it was from I don't know, it was 1 to 10, and Amos was like a 10. on which all I knew was the 10 isn't where you wanted to be. You wanted to be low, not, high. And I tell you what, that diagnosis, and you talk about, when y'all got the diagnosis in your book, which is that it's interesting how it's such I don't think it'll ever leave your heart, mm-hmm. and how you can remember all the little details about that day.
Everything. It's like burned in my brain. But speaking of that 10, so it was hard for me to hear the autism diagnosis, right? Because this is how I describe it. When you have a child, they're in a group of all their peers, right? Every other 3-year-olds out there, and then it gets this big, right? What was harder for me was when I watched Cooper's autistic peers move on. When they started talking and they started doing different things. And in our life, I'm a happy person, but our life is pretty challenging still.
Right.
We just look at it differently. It's not easier. We're just stronger. So for me, it was harder, that secondary shock, like when the intellectual disability came and the other kids went into gen ed classrooms, they were able to mainstream. Like we don't have any mainstreaming, and that was harder for me. Like it just was heavier.
Mm-hmm. And that ebbs and flows for me some. I will say starting school, and Cooper is Kate's oldest of 4 and Amos is my youngest of 4, and the difference in that. But my big 3 had all gone to the little preschool down the street. I was a stay-at-home mom, and we would walk to preschool with the dog and pick you up 3 hours later and come home and have lunch. It was very like traditional. And Amos, on his 3rd birthday, I took him out to the public school to start preschool, in the special ed classroom. And he was in this, little, what we call in the South, John, like a one-piece jumper, in his diaper and his little, red tennis shoes. And I remember I was crying at the door to the classroom, and the principal, who I love and is a good friend, but she said, everybody cries when you leave your child at school for the first time. And I said, it's not the same. And at least at that point, I could articulate that it was not the same. I said, I've done this 3 other times. This isn't the same. This isn't the school that I had planned for him. It is not the same. And just the ability.
And it's not.
Yeah. And to say that but before Amos, I never thought about those moms that were like me, dropping the 3-year-old off at school,
So a big part of this book is about kindergarten and starting. Mm-hmm. And I just brought this up the other day with a friend who's much younger than me and going through the same thing now. Right. And I talked about how I would go on Facebook and I saw, because the schools start at different times here. Mm-hmm. And like Cooper didn't pick out his backpack. He didn't know there was a school supply list. He didn't care what he wore. He didn't even know school was starting. And you mentioned earlier, you didn't want to say something out loud. Like me, like I was like, I am not doing a first day of kindergarten picture. I'm not doing it. I'm like, I am so hurt. I'm angry. I'm jealous. I'm sad. It's fake. And I did.
It's fake.
I'm like, he doesn't even know he's going to school.
Right.
And I did it. And I'm like, you know why I'm going to do it? I'm going to do it for me and for my mom and for grandma. And I did it. But some of those moments, I mean, they're just crushing. They're crushing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, for example, so Cooper's a 6th grader and he has a great teacher right now who just is really phenomenal. So she emailed me the other day and she's like, well, there's a 6th grade field trip. She's like, does Cooper want to go? And
but I haven't heard about how it went. Okay.
Well, it hasn't happened yet. So it's to a movie theater. Mm-hmm. And I know that he can't sit through a movie. Whenever I rent out a theater for, special needs things, he sits in the aisle and he rolls and he touches people's bald heads and he takes their popcorn. And I'm like, oh gosh. So I wrote back to her. No lie, I wrote, yikes, that sounds terrifying. And my husband, he was on the email and he yells it from downstairs and he's like, God, all you do is bitch about inclusion and you won't even let your kid go on the field trip. And I was like, I'm scared. I think a lot of it's our own fears, right?
Yeah.
So he's gonna go, but it's about 5 minutes from our house. So I know he'll only last 10 minutes. So I'll just sit in the parking lot and wait for him.
Well,
that's 10 minutes. That's 10 minutes.
And I think one way I feel like that I survive is I have very low expectations. I've conceded defeat on most every front, which then makes you, so Amos has had a couple of these field trip things. Now, if I've taken Amos to a movie, he'll last maybe 30 minutes. So we're a little more ahead of you a little bit. But I will say he's been with school and he lasted the whole movie. He ain't lasted with me the whole movie. But one thing I do is make sure he's hungry and we don't get the little, free popcorn. I'm like, no, here's $10. Get the bucket. We need the big bucket of popcorn. And the popcorn and M&M, a lot of sugar. But, so, and like you said, and with him when he went, I was like, just call me. The theater's 2 blocks from my house.
Yeah.
I can come get him. It's fine. It's okay,
Well, and you have to, so this is one thing that I kind of wrestle with. So when Cooper was younger and really had a hard time being in the community, we're still working up to it. I think we're behind you guys, but we practice, right? All these, I call them the old war horse moms. I love that saying. They're always like, you need to get your kid in the community. You're hiding them. And I'm like, but he runs into traffic and he goes behind the desk at the doctor's office and he sweeps off shelves. And I remember like just kind of clashing, right? I'm like, we can't. Well, now that Cooper's 12, it's like, you got to get those kids in the community now. You got to go. I get it. It's like, you got to build up the tolerance and you have to try and you have to go. And if you fail, you go again next time.
Well, and I think there's 2 parts of being in the community. One is we want our children to be included. How can anyone look to include them if we don't have them out?
Exactly.
The reason we don't have them out is not only could be a safety reason. For me, and it might not be with you yet, but it could be, is that I'm cognizant of my big 3 children, and taking Amos to church. You could be embarrassed if you were a teenager and you had someone, trying to set something on fire. This could be a problem.
So you're starting to ask some questions about embarrassing things.
And I get it. Like, I feel a little bit the same way too. So I think we are cognizant. Now, we went Christmas Eve this year, and I was glad to see that my kids are 17, 15, and 13. They seem to have moved on from embarrassing to like being a little bit tickled with him, maybe because it doesn't happen a ton because we don't take him out a ton for things like that. But they seemed less embarrassed and more entertained. Like, he came out of the bathroom in the upstairs of the church and said, ladies and gentlemen, here is Amos. And somebody in the choir was like, shh. And he said, don't shush Amos, you say yay Amos, and they laughed like they weren't embarrassed, Meanwhile, I was like trying to get a hold of him. But I let other people in the community, I'm saying this to you as much as myself, because we have not taken him out to dinner forever since we hadn't had an iPad, because I'm like, ugh. Like, it's just, the amount of sitting is like this long.
Oh yeah. So I always look for resources of people to know to help me with things. That's maybe that comes with growth, right? Like, I know I'm not an expert. I don't know what it's like to be a sibling of a child with a disability. I don't know.
Right.
So Amanda Owen, for anyone that's watching, Amanda Owen she's one of the most amazing people I've ever met. She owns a bunch of ABA clinics. She's a powerful advocate. Her brother he's in his 40s, and she's like, if he was diagnosed today, it'd probably be autism. But she's like, when we were younger, it was just, whatever. It was just, he was just had a disability.
Right.
And she was telling me this story about how she was a big pitcher for softball. And the only way her parents could come is if they brought her brother. And he was really loud, and he would stim and he would yell. And she's really great to talk to siblings. I have her she talked to Sawyer before, where she was like,
right.
She's like, I was so embarrassed. She's like, it was just, I mean, imagine being a teenage girl on a pitching mound when your brother is having a meltdown.
Right.
And we've had some pretty tough times at baseball fields. And so we don't bring Cooper to baseball fields anymore because he runs on the field and he drops and he rolls and you know, I don't want Sawyer to feel like that, but I also want Sawyer to be protective and courageous. And you know what? It's such a hard line to walk, right?
Yes. Yes, it is. And I think, well, like all things in life, learning that dance of when it's acceptable and when it's not. Like you said, we had church basketball, and I don't take Amos to church basketball. There's a buzzer, the running on the court, the want to be on
sports are hard.
And they really like to be on a field. For someone that just does not seem to like sports, we almost should set up a birthday party where it's just people pretending to play games and they could just run on the field.
Yes.
Because Amos is trying to be a part of it inappropriately.
So is Cooper. He wants to sit on the mound. Yeah. He doesn't want to play baseball. He wants to be in the center. So I don't know if you're to this point yet, but where we're struggling right now is with social norms. So a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old doing something is looked at with kind eyes. Yeah. Cooper is 12, and we have some things that are happening now that I even as an adult don't really know how to navigate. Like we have a lot of nose picking with no embarrassment. It's a sensory thing. You know, we have, he'll pick up gum off the ground, or, you know, he'll do things, you know, and it's like do you guys have salt? Do you guys salt your roads there? That's probably a Minnesotan thing. We salt our roads
every other year when we get like a quarter of an inch of snow.
So he loves the salt so he'll go up to someone's boot and he'll be like, and he'll eat it, and like people are like, oh my gosh, you know. But it's like Sawyer's like, Mom, he's eating the gum again. I'm like, buddy, it's hard.
We've had the gum, but I'm like, I was also the same mother for him that would like take Fruit Loops and sprinkle them on the floor of the airport to give people something to do while we waited for the plane.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's great. So, but I just think it's hard. People they look at him, the kind eyes aren't there anymore. And like, you can watch someone because there's no hiding Cooper's disability. We're not trying to hide it. I'm not saying that, but like, it's not an invisible disability no more. Like Cooper is flamboyantly, autistically proud. So it's like, I would say it's like a microsecond. People are like, something's going on here.
Right. Right. Yeah. Amos is probably, where we live, everybody knows him. We're in a little town, so that's nice. You know, he's kind of, there's very few places that we go that people don't know him. So that's helpful. But I did notice when we traveled, and we went, y'all haven't flown yet, but we went to the airport, which he loves to do. He's just wants to travel. That's what he likes to do.
Your helicopter reel brought me a lot of joy.
Oh, it did? Oh, he was
seriously brought me a lot of joy. Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm not like one that wants to be on a helicopter. Like I think of Kobe Bryant. I just think helicopters are like a way to not live long. But I remember
puddle jumper planes to me.
Yes. But I said to my husband, he was like, is this safe? And I was like, you know what? I don't know if it's safe or not, but it's worthwhile to me. Like this is so important to him that I'm willing to put myself at risk to go do this. But thank you. But he loves to do that stuff. But in the airport, I noticed, I mean, you know, he's running around like a lunatic, and we have the service dog, which definitely helped because I think people see a service dog and are like, they always smile when they see a service dog. Maybe not a unruly child with autism, but the service dog sort of warms them up to him, which is interesting. Wasn't something.
Yeah.
But it does.
Well,
She does help.
One of the stories that I always share, I have a friend who has a 20-year-old son on the spectrum. And she was saying their son had to be in a wheelchair for a short period of time. I don't remember whatever the deal was, but he was given so much more grace when he had that look of a physical disability.
Oh.
Yeah, people were suddenly like kinder.
Right.
And it's like, isn't that interesting, like the way our society works? Like you have to earn it. You got to prove it.
Mm-hmm.
Like prove that we need help.
Or maybe even like if somebody is blind. I think with the autism thing, it's the behavior that gets you sometimes too. You know, like if you have another type of disability, you're deaf or blind and you're blending in, you know, I don't think you're not annoying. I think our families can be probably seemingly annoying to some people.
Well, you know, I was actually going to write about this the other day. So we have 4 kids, and my 10-year-old is extra. Like he's like the social, popular, athletic.
Yes.
Like we went to an indoor park today, and like he threw a dodgeball at my face like 7 times. Like I was like, haha, the first one was funny. You know, like it's like he's just really extra. And then my 2 little ones are cute as buttons, but I call them velociraptors. So like one's going to like circle behind and the other one's going to like take your feet out. I'm joking. But like we're a lot.
Right.
We're loud. And like I think your family's a lot sweeter than my family, Adrian.
No, I think they're bigger. Well, I don't know. My middle one, you know, doesn't talk to me, but like every 2 weeks because, you know, they're off at boarding school. And I'll like call him and he holds the phone up like this. And like he reaches out if he needs like money or me to mail him something. But I'm like, this could really not be working well. I don't know what's happening.
That's going to be Sawyer. Well, actually, no, I think so. We joke. Okay, we're terrible, but I'll say it. We have a local watering hole. It's called Wild Bill's. Rachel Flanagan's watching, so she's going to laugh. Wild Bill's is a
watering hole a bar?
Yes.
Okay.
And it gets the underbelly. Like it has like peanuts and hay bales, you know, it gets the underbelly of the, you know, of the city. And so like we just have this joke that like Sawyer is gonna like live in our basement. Like we're gonna wake up one day and there's gonna be like a 60-year-old woman like hello, like your son brought me home to use your pool. And we're gonna be like, what the like that's Sawyer. He's gonna live off of us. He wants to live off us forever. He doesn't ever want to leave. And I don't think he will.
I think these people in here are like, we're getting out of here. They're going to put us to work. Yeah. So since this was a bigger group and my subscribers all got to read your book, I'm going to promise them that once we figure this out, you're going to come back on and maybe do a Q&A or something with us.
Yes, I will answer questions.
Because that would be fun to do. And what's the biggest takeaway you want people to take from this?
I would say when my son was diagnosed with autism, all my energy went to him. I completely lost myself to helping him. What I didn't realize was it was me that needed to change. And I think that's what's missing in this world of parenting is that we neglect the feelings of the mother or the father or whoever, whether it's postpartum or like whatever it may be. This is hard stuff. And we have to talk about it because that's what brings us together. The isolation in this parenting world is hard. Adrian, I talked about you today. So when we were texting this morning, me, you, and Carrie, we were texting about you coming on Sunday to speak, right? I typed a message and I said, can we get serious for a second? I am like really struggling right now. And then I erased it because I didn't want to bother you guys. Like I didn't want to be like, oh, wah, Kate's struggling. And I didn't send it.
You shouldn't have done that.
I know, but I was like, I always feel like I'm like this weak human. But Winnie hasn't slept for 2 years.
Winnie would be too.
Yes. So I'm struggling. And I just think that like, I always say to people, you don't have to write a book. You don't have to have a blog like Adrian or this fantastic page. You just need to share your stories. Just talk about what's hard.
I agree. And I think for people that aren't where you and I are, maybe they've thought, do I want to share? do I need to not tell people? Do I need to pretend everything's fine? And this says, you know what, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. And I just saw someone, so the best compliment that I got was that it's a must read for teachers and nurses and those who work with our kids. I just did a book club the other night for 6 nurses that work like in the high needs surgery part,
nice.
like where Cooper would have got his tubes, I guess, a different hospital. But one of the nurses said to me, reading the sentence where you said you were up against the closed door in the doctor's room protecting the light and your son was throwing a trash basket and people were staring at you, helped me more than anything I've ever done. And I was like, oh. So I think it's helping people.
That's nice. Well, it certainly helped me, and so do you.
Yay. And I can't wait for your book.
But you're going to be like 50 by then, so.
Get writing. Oh, a few more kids.
Yeah.
Just popping them out.
Okay, thank y'all, and sorry, subscribers, but I'll make it up to you. I promise.
Yes, I will make it up to you.
Really nice. See you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye. I can't even turn it off. I can't get it. I can't.
This is a Minnesota goodbye. Oh my gosh.
It's Groundhog Day. I mean, I can't.
Yes, to your folks.
I can't. We can't leave. I mean, it's terrible. Help! Help! I'm trapped in here.
We're gonna be here forever.
What if we did? This is like being back in COVID.
I think you just pressed the button.
I'm trying. I'm pressing hide. Nothing's happening.
Is there an X?
Oh, no.
If you don't end it, it'll keep recording. And I knew this because my first ever Be Live I did was like an hour of blackness.
These are the Christmas cards I haven't sent out.
On top of I have 2 years. Someone just said I'm still here.
We know you're here. Wait, okay, I'm gonna.
You should be buying my book right now. It's $13 on Amazon. You can have it tomorrow.
It'll come in the night. Okay, I'm trying. Hold on.
I will hand deliver it. Hi, still here.
Kate is having, what else can we talk about? Kate is having a caregiver retreat, and I have been invited to speak that Sunday in Minnesota. And I would just like to point out that I'm a little bit remiss that all my tickets aren't sold out yet.
Yeah, there's 40 tickets left. So if any of you are in Minnesota, people come.
Why did the Saturday person's tickets sell out and not mine?
No, the 2 days sold. There was no just Saturday sold. So here's how it works. There's 175 people that can fit on Saturday and 250 that can fit on Sunday.
Oh.
You guys need to come. And people, you can fly in. You can fly in and you can party with me and Adrian. Like it's $19.99.
Stay with me at the hotel?
I don't know. I get pretty peopled out.
but
I actually turned 40 like 3 days before. I think there may be a surprise party for me on Saturday night, I think. Do you know anything about it?
No.
Well, maybe you're not invited.
Yeah,
but I think you might be invited.
Well, how would you know about it if it's a surprise?
Well, because I'm on the planning committee of the whole event, so things sneak my way. Yeah.
Ooh, I'm real excited. I got my ticket. I'm flying into Minneapolis.
Well, I told everyone here, I'm like, I don't even know if Adrian's going to get a damn ticket. I don't know if she's going to show up.
Oh, I got it. And I upgraded to first class.
Ooh. Do you like to have a drink on a plane?
Well, I might if they're free.
They'll be free. Also, what is your topic of your speech?
Oh, I don't know. I hadn't gotten that far. You haven't told me what I'm supposed to talk about.
Are you going to do a PowerPoint?
Oh, my God, the pressure. I mean, golly Moses. Yes, I am going to do, yes, I will do like a keynote slide because I like photographs.
So I was just saying to Lori Hellman, one of the speakers on Saturday, that I think even if you don't do a big presentation, just having pictures of your family really helps people draw you in.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think I'm going to kind of talk about the benefit of sharing your truth, because I assume obviously it's a special mom conference, and just people maybe that don't feel totally comfortable with sharing their story a little bit. But I'm up to suggestions.
So one of the keynotes I do an event in September too at a camp, which is really fun. Oh my gosh. So, do you remember the story in here about the photographer that took her photos? And she told me that it took her 5 years to get to acceptance. Okay. She's a dear friend of mine. Her name is Casey. She was the keynote at my September event. And she had this sentence that I've been thinking about since September. And it was, your value does not decrease as a special needs mom. And I think so many of us feel that way. That was a really powerful speech for me. Cause I remember like thinking like, did you ever feel pressure like you shouldn't be doing other things because your child needed you? Or maybe you couldn't do things because your child needed you. Like you couldn't work because you're going to therapy, or so much changes when you have these children that just can't go to daycare or
all the time.
Yeah.
Every time I sit down to do something like this, I'm like, well, I should have called to get the appointment. I should have. Why haven't I called to find out about the test result? I need to. Yeah, it's constant. Even more than typical kids.
Someone just said the Moon Beach, that was the one in September, retreat changed my life.
Oh, what
so yeah, we're gonna do it again this year, and I will tell you, those moms were wild.
And they're excited I'm coming. Because I have to
wild moms
in September. Remember, y'all called me out one night.
Oh, that was somewhere else. Oh. Yeah. So for anyone watching, I throw Adrian around as my famous friend. So I FaceTime her when we're all having a few cocktails. Prince Henry doesn't answer, but Adrian does.
Hello, it's me. Are you here? Where is the conference? What town?
Which one?
The one I'm coming to.
So you're going to be staying in Woodbury, Minnesota, which is where the Saturday day is, and the VIP Friday night at my house. Jamie he bartends with a sleeveless flannel tank.
And the children are all there.
So the children are gone on Friday, and then they come back at 9. And really quickly, I'll just tell you. So when they came, I had 60 moms here last year for the VIP. And when the kids, Cooper like whips open the door, much like Amos, and he walks in with this like strut, and the moms, it was like the Red Sea was parting. They were like, oh, like they all were like, because people think Cooper's like famous, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. And he was like this. So didn't faze him at all. It was like nothing had even happened. Like he was like 60 people. Nothing.
No big deal.
Yeah. And then Saturdays in Woodbury at the Sheraton, and lots of surprises. And then you are at this beautiful venue in Stillwater, Minnesota. It's gorgeous. Just like you. It's just gorgeous. Mm-hmm.
Now, Minnesota, the Ingalls family lived in Minnesota. Am I anywhere near their little house in the big woods?
I don't think so. Wait. Where did Little House on the Prairie take place?
Here's what I found from Wikipedia.
Kansas!
No, they were in Minnesota at some point. They left all their cousins there.
Oh, I don't know. But you know what is from near here? The golden red sparkly shoes from the Wizard of Oz.
Are those going to be at your party?
No, because they're stolen. It's a big scandal. They were stolen. I know.
We need to do a video about this. When were they?
Ones in Walnut Grove. Further north.
Walnut Grove.
Grand Rapids.
Thank you. Walnut Grove.
Where is Walnut Grove?
Here it is on the map.
Minnesota! Oh my God. I'm going to tell you how far it is from here.
Well, we're going.
Oh my gosh, we're going. Jamie will love it. Quick road trip. I'm going to tell you right now. I've never really heard of that as a real place.
Oh, well.
Okay. It's 2 hours and 52 minutes from here. There's literally nothing there. Wait until this comes up. Come on. There's like nothing. This is the city. There's like nothing. It's just Laura and Pa Ingalls.
They're just out there getting sap out of the trees.
Do you know what I always think about when I read those books? Because those books really touched me. I always, and you probably don't remember this, no one does, but do you remember when they played with the pig bladder?
Yes.
They blew it up.
Books like 89 times each. I remember everything.
I remember when they made like the candy out of the syrup, the maple syrup, and froze it.
And they would freeze it and lay it down, and then they grill the pigtail.
Oh, I know. But we just talked about how, remember I told you there's a big push on Instagram for women that are trying to be more like modern day Ma Ingalls is what they call it.
You said that, and that kind of annoys me. Like I've been talking about being Ma Ingalls for years. They're stealing my idea.
Get the book out quick.
Damn it. Get the book out quick. Little House on the Prairie cookbook. I mean,
yeah.
Big.
What else? I'm just trying to think. It's going to be a very special event, though. We're going to change some lives.
Well, once we're done with the video, put the link up so people can sign up and get a ticket if they want to. Now, have you ever done virtual tickets?
Okay, so this will make you laugh after our trouble tonight. So last year, I did a virtual event for the speakers. So it was Carrie Cariello and Jackie from Jordan's Summer Shirt Project.
Yes.
And they were phenomenal. So I said that for $5, you could watch it live. Well, Facebook crashed. I had a heck of a time. Like, people wanted refunds. You can't refund it. So I was like, how do I what I did was I like pirated the videos, like talking about, I was like literally like recording off of something, uploaded them to YouTube and gave everyone a private link.
Oh, that was good.
But it's too stressful. You know, it's so stressful. Nothing ever works over here.
I know. It is stressful. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't work. Tomorrow night, I'm on here with Dr. Patel from Duke talking about AFib and stroke. And I'm hoping
much different from tonight.
I know, but like Dr. Patel might not think me not being able to get off the video is funny.
Yeah. Huh? Is he a big deal? I don't know who he is.
Yes, he's like the heart guy at Duke Hospital.
What do you have to say? Like, are you preparing?
I have a very detailed note list of questions I'll be answering him and what he'll be talking. So the big gist is it's Heart Month, and we're talking about how stroke is 20% of the time is caused by AFib, but most people don't know they have AFib until they have a stroke. But you can find out you have AFib before you have a stroke. So it's sort of an education thing of like, go find out how you have AFib.
Mm-hmm. So my dad had a stroke a couple of years ago, and I will tell you, it really changed his personality. I didn't know a lot about strokes, but it's kind of a crazy story. So like, his wife died a year earlier from pancreatic cancer, my stepmom. So that kind of changed him, right?
Right.
And then he said that he got up in the middle of the night. He remembers it. And he had to like lean on the wall to make it to the bathroom. And he's like, I thought it was kind of weird, but like, he's like, I didn't think much of it beyond that. Woke up in the morning, said he felt fine. And he was building a house. Like, I mean, he's in his 80s. So like his house was being built, and he joked that he would go there and push the broom and like help. It was kind of sweet. He called it going to work. And he said he was there and like he fell over and like was like leaning on the wall. So he drove himself to the vet's hospital because that's what you do, right? And you know what they said to him? They're like, you don't have an appointment. You're going to need to go somewhere else. He clearly, like he said, had a stroke. Like his face was droopy. His arm didn't work.
ER?
At the Veterans Hospital.
The Veterans Hospital. Oh, God.
So he got in his truck again and drove to the ER. And they took him right away. I mean, like he was there forever. But it's really changed who he is. Like, I feel like he like doesn't know my kids' names, and it's just hard. Strokes, I didn't know how hard they are.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, you want to be on the lookout. And I think so I have a little written content in the morning, and it talks about the 5 ways to know if there's a stroke. And it's kind of a little short, easy way to remember it. So I think it's important. I like medical stuff. You know, I feel like it's always helpful for me. Or the last one was menopause and mental health, which that's before where you are now. But it's good to know menopause basically is like having postpartum depression for some people. Yeah. And so letting women know that, and that there's help available, and being aware that it can be bad times. Well,
and I feel like, okay, so like, not to be weird, but like, don't feel like anyone ever talked to me about like my period. Like that was just kind of something like you kind of figured out, like maybe a conversation with my mom, but like no one talks about menopause. Like I've never had a conversation with anyone about anything.
Right. Well, and you and I and Carrie were having a conversation and I started talking about it. She was like, no, we're not talking about that. I was like, but yes, we are. See, we have to normalize it because I think postpartum is something we've gotten pretty good at.
A little better. Yep.
People are aware that it's a struggle but menopause, they're like, that's for old people. It's just, and perimenopause, which is what I'm in. And what that is when your period is not regular. And so mine could be every 4 to 6 months. And once you hit a year with no period, you're officially out of eggs in menopause. You've run out.
Dried up. Done.
I got a few. I'm like in the point where the people would get pregnant back in the 50s. But my tubes have been burned up.
Would you die?
Well, no, I ain't got no tubes. But that's what happened. These people wouldn't know that they would think they were probably in menopause, and then they're just firing out an egg every now and then, and we have a baby.
So I always think I'm pregnant. And Jamie got a vasectomy right after we had Winnie. But every month I'm like, wow, probably pregnant. Like every month I'm like, because I would have a million babies and I'm insane. So I'll get like a cramp or like a twinge and I'm like, oh, well, here we go again. And then he's like, Kate, it's not possible. I'm like,
I will say every once in a while, I'll be like, that felt like a flutter.
I know. And I'm like, I know. I'm like, a kick.
It's an 8-month-old baby in there. Maybe that's why my stomach is so large.
I know. And I'm like, what am I, like 20 weeks along? I have no idea. And then like, I don't keep track so I have basically been pregnant and nursing for 4 years. Right. So, and Winnie's, she'll be 2 in May.
Nursing her?
I ended at a year.
Okay.
So, but it's so funny. Like I'm just getting things going again, right? Like just chug, getting back up going here. And then it's like every feeling I'm like, wow, this is fun. I just think, and I'm a girl in a house full of boys, so it's hard.
Well, you have one daughter.
But she's very young. By the time that she's a teenager, Jamie, she's going to have to push us in our wheelchairs. Like, we're going to be so old. We're going to be like, do whatever you want. Do as you will.
Yeah, there could be some truth to that. Sometimes my husband will say, especially with Amos, he'll say, I'm just too old for this. I'm like, well, it's too late now. You're here. Get up.
We're in it. But, before we go, one thing that I've been repeating of yours a lot lately is how we talked about, me and you, that Cooper will be 32 when Winnie leaves. Mm-hmm. But Blair is going to be leaving soon and Amos will be alone. That has really stuck with me. I think about that a lot.
Me too. Yeah, it's been kind of hard for me to deal with. Amos is 9. So Amos will be 10 and not have any siblings at home.
So she'll go next year?
No, so she has 1 more year. So he'll turn 10 in November. And then she'll go that next August, right before he turns 11.
And see, I don't talk about this a lot because I don't ever want to make someone feel bad that only had one child for whatever reason, because that's not my point.
Right.
But these 3 kids have changed Cooper's life. Like they have Winnie like crawls on his head and he's like, help. And like she's like on him. Like these kids have taught him like we're gonna play or we're doing this so I think about the gift of him having a sibling till he's in his 30s. So I had never thought about that.
I think it's wonderful, and I said that to my husband. I was telling him about our conversation. I was like, it's just really going to be because he and Blair. I mean, every day she bugs the ever living mess out of him. But he loves it. And when his big brothers get home and they're throwing him around and I mean, it's not like he doesn't see them, but on an every single day in, day out, no, he doesn't, have that. And it's just the way that it is, but it'll be different. I think the way you have it is, I think it's nice. I think it's nice to have, people home with you for a long time because he does enjoy it. He does.
Well, but we're never going to have empty. I mean, it's never. I mean, the other thing is like having one child is easier to do stuff. Like it's like it's just hard to think that we have a long time with kids still, like little kids.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think,
and that's good, but
we are where we are. So you just find the good in it. Like this weekend on Friday, we are going to take Amos, Big Thomas and I, Amos and the service dog are going to go take the train and spend the night.
You're going to do it?
Yeah. Yeah. You and I talked about it. And I was like, we're going to do that. Blair is not going. So I'm going to find somebody to let her stay with them. Because she was like, I don't want to go all that way for one night. But for Amos, it's perfect.
Yeah. See, Sawyer wouldn't want to go either.
So we're at a point where we can maybe just do some special stuff with him, which is nice because I feel like we're always doing special stuff with them, and not with him necessarily. So maybe it will be nice. Maybe he and I will have some freedom of like, where do we want to go this weekend? We're just hanging out. So
when our friend Carrie said that Sunday that she like went to yoga and then she's like, I'm going to stop and grab some lunch. Like you and I were both like, we cannot even fathom that. Like that freedom to be like, I'm just going to just grab dinner. I'm not there yet.
I had a weekend, a few weeks ago where my people were gone and I was home alone for the first time in 17 years for a weekend. And I'm not kidding. It's 17 years. You laugh now. You call me in like 5 more years. You're going to be like, what happened finally? I mean, you just can stop somewhere. You can go to lunch. You could do anything you want.
I can't imagine.
And we're going to get more limited when Blair is gone because we can't leave Amos home alone. And we were talking about, would we ever move back in the country? We live in town now. And I was like, no, I'm not going to live out there and be trapped. Like, no way, Jose. Because that's different too, Anyway.
We've talked about getting a cabin like numerous times. And like, Jamie's like, should we go somewhere super remote? And I'm like, we are already isolated to the point where we can't do so much. And like, we're country people. We love that. But I'm like, I think we need to stay in civilization and have people to talk to. Otherwise we might get loony. Like
you do. I think for me, I do. Now I would love to go for the weekend, maybe to do something like that. And I think that would be fun, but like and you live in Minnesota, but I mean, it is freaking gray and cold and yucky here.
Where? Oh, here too. Oh my gosh, it's freezing.
Well, I know it's worse.
Yeah.
But it's like, I need to like see people or do something, not be trapped.
So I'll notice that when I get super weird, like just kind of cranky, bleak, sad, I'll be like, I haven't done anything in a long time. And I'll go grab lunch with a friend and we'll laugh for an hour. And then I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I'm better. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And that's what happens when you're isolated as a parent, I think, whether it's a new mom or a parent of a special needs child, whatever your reason is, it's like you need to see people. You really need human interaction.
Right. So Diana just said, Adrian, you have a nanny, please. So I always think this is an interesting conversation because I do have a nanny / caregiver because I work full time. So most women do use childcare of some type. Kate, do you have childcare that helps you?
Yep. So Harbor's in daycare 4 days a week and Winnie's 2 days a week. And then Cooper has a PCA. Her name is Lauren. And it's not enough. I'll be honest. We need more.
Yes. So I think when somebody knows you have childcare or a caregiver or a nanny or a PCA, the person does not live with you. It is not like a prostitute, a hooker, there's no call girl. So we can plan to have our caregiver, like tomorrow night, I'm going to go speak at our school board meeting. So I have her lined up, but I don't just have every hour all the time. So I just think that's important to point out.
Well, and like, so tonight, and people may scoff at this, but we went to a park. I was explaining to Adrian that we have indoor parks because it's so cold here all the time. And we have 4 kids. And we're kind of in the hard part of life. We have 2 toddlers, and then we have, well, Sawyer's fine. And then we have a child with special needs who needs 1-to-1 in the community. So we have to bring a 3rd person. We could do it with just Jamie and I, but I'll tell you, Jamie spent half his night playing dodgeball tonight with some other man. So I didn't really see him the whole time. I'm in the trenches taking grenades with Cooper on the jump. Okay, I'm not lying or overreacting.
What was Winnie doing?
She's with Lauren. So we brought Lauren. So Lauren, we let Harbor run wild. We let Sawyer run wild, and they're safe. You can't get out. But she follows little Win-Win, and then I spend my time on the jump. And then I'm like, where is my husband? Can I get a heck yes from the other women? Like, what are they doing? Is he in the bathroom? Like, where is he?
He was playing dodgeball with the children, or just the
shooting hoops. I mean, so this is how this works. Okay, we're in the car and we're driving, and I'm like, okay, who's on first? So I'm like, Lauren, you're on Winnie. I'm like, Jamie, do you want Cooper or do you want Harbor? And he's like, I'll take Cooper. I got it. You know, I swear we get in and he's like, hi, you know, so popular. And I'm like, oh, Cooper takes off running the other direction up the slide with the toddlers. And I'm like, here we go. Go. You know? And I didn't see him for 2 hours. Does that ever happen to you?
Is that a real question? That's my life. Yes.
He always commits and then he disappears. Mm-hmm. At one point, he was in the soccer place. There was no other kids in there. He was just kicking soccer balls.
I teach Sunday school. Well, I'm an assistant on Sunday. So we go to breakfast and Sunday school. Well, Amos during Sunday school is supposed to be in my class, but he just runs wild. There's like this room with a bunch of dress up stuff. So it's just permanently trashed at church. And he runs around, and I texted my husband and said, he was cooking church breakfast. Come get him and take him home. Well, he starts chasing him like around church. So then the two of them are like playing this like ferocious game of tag. And then he was like, Amos, of course, is like, no, stay with mommy. He was like,
that's Cooper too.
Well, Thomas, when that happens, he's like this. I can't do anything. He wants you. I'm like, no. Pick up the person and put them in the car.
Yes.
No. So
Cooper's always like,
Cooper's
like, and he'll point to me. And Jamie's like, oh, you guys have fun. And I'm like,
no, this is not, this is not sister wives. No, he's
but I feel like all the other moms and the parents, now this is just me being a little silly, but like they're all like sipping their coffee and like chatting. I'm on top of the slide like, okay, don't do anything. You want to, it's like I'm on that pull. It's just so different. Parenting is so different.
There is nothing more humbling than being a special needs parent, particularly like when Amos, we would try to get him to like be on the soccer team and he was little, or be at the soccer field. I mean, when you are chasing someone on the field in front of hundreds of people, it is humiliating. I don't care if you have lots of confidence or you write a blog or whatever. It is like being butt naked all the time in public. Right?
Yep. Okay, before I have to hop off, but this story it'll bring you joy. So we never bring Cooper to hockey because of the gum incident was one. Mm-hmm. And he also he touched every bleacher and like laid like flat on every bleacher and like rolled around. I mean, it's hard. You can't watch Sawyer. There's no point, right?
Right.
But we had a game that we did not want to miss. And we decided we're going to bring him. Like, this is important, right? We're going to go. So at the beginning, like we're standing there like in this group of parents, we're running and chasing Cooper, but like we're talking and like, everyone's like, oh, he's doing so good. He's watching his iPad. And I'm like, just you wait. I'm like, he'll be on that ice. And they're like, no, how would that be possible? I'm like, oh, he'll be on the ice. Just you wait. So the game ends. It was a nightmare, but the game ends. And do you guys have hockey there? The doors open for the Zamboni to go in. Cooper was like a white ninja. He was like, and he swan dives onto the ice. Okay, so Jamie cannot handle it. Like, he's so buttoned up. So he goes on the ice and he's like slipping, getting to Cooper.
Why did you video this?
Oh my God. Okay, so wait. So he gets to Cooper and Cooper does a log roll and his shirt and his sweatshirt come off. And he's now and I'm standing there like this.
ice with no shirt on.
On the ice. And I'm standing like this. I'm like, told you. I didn't even move. I didn't even flinch. I didn't even move. Didn't even faze me. And everyone's like, oh my God.
That is awesome.
Best ever. But
I'm
then
just so mad
the
there's not a-
joke was that he only was out there for 30 seconds once the ice hit, felt on his skin. He was like, boop, walks off. But it was it was wonderful because I'm always the one butt naked, in front of everyone. So for it to be him, I was like, sucks to be you. Sucks to be you.
Oh, that's good. That's why I got to play soccer last night. Okay, I'm going to try to get off the video again. This could turn into, we should do some sort of all night talking session when Winnie's awake. It could be like go on for years.
I know. Okay, try and end it.
Don't have melatonin?
I don't think she's too little, but melatonin's never really worked with my kids. It makes them kind of angsty.
Oh.
Like it makes them kind of hyper.
Oh.
And see, the other thing is so Sawyer's always been a phenomenal sleeper. Cooper has autism sleep struggles, so I think that's a little bit different.
Right.
But the other two, they never had problems falling asleep. It was staying asleep.
I remember Harbor really did not sleep well.
And so his is sickly. He needs to have his sinuses drilled. And they're kind of postponing doing it because apparently it's super painful. But he's been sick. So he's 4. He's been sick since he was 6 months old. Like just constant,
grossness. Oh.
Yeah. So he's on prednisone all the time, but he sleeps well now. But I had these dreams of when my kids were younger. Like I was like, I'm just going to boil melatonin, drip it in their mouth. Like when they're sleeping, maybe they'll stay sleeping longer because they would just wake up all the time.
And it's so tired. I need sleep. Sleep. They say when you don't get sleep, you are like a drunk person functioning the next day. And I'll tell you the story before I get us off. I had not had sleep. I had somebody that was sick and I went to the pediatrician's office and I parked. There was no parking. So I made my own parking space. And I was I had a Suburban at the time. And when we were leaving there, it didn't have a camera, but it had the beeping thing. Like we're beep, beep, beep to tell you.
Oh, yes.
And I remember I looked and was like, oh, why is this freaking car so stupid? And just wham, ran into the sign behind me. So I was so tired that I was like a drunk person. It was like the beeping. I just thought the car was stupid.
Yes. But I also think for me, sleep deprivation, I get really, I think it's like a hangover. Like I crave carbs and salt and McDonald's. Cause I'm pretty, I haven't
more calories when you're sleep deprived.
Yep. And I don't want to do anything. I just am lazy. I don't want to exercise. It's this perpetual cycle.
Oh, it's bad. Yeah,
it is. And you can't make someone sleep
or poop in the potty.
No, you cannot.
These are 2 things, just in case y'all were wondering. Okay, carry on. Go get Kate's book if you haven't gotten it already.
I'm sure everyone on here's bought it.
Yes, she's going to have an Amazon 1,000 book order.
I'm going to be above Prince Henry.
Goodbye. Princess Kate. Okay, I'm going to try to get out. I don't know how to do